Alistair, Severus, Professor McGonagall, whatever your first name is, Minerva, tell me, who do you think is the greatest wizard that ever lived?
Potter! Alistair Moody. End of story. Goodbye, the end.
Someone from my own house? Malfoy, perhaps?
No, I'm afraid you're all wrong. Stay with me whilst I tell you the story of Asparagus Spears. Yes, I've reverted to an earlier form. Asparagus was a mild-mannered boy, polite and kind, but also brimming with ambition.
Isn't he beautiful?
Yeah, he's absolutely gorgeous.
Indeed, he came to Hogwarts in the 1890s under unusual circumstances, being that he was admitted as a fifth year. And indeed, his journey to the school was somewhat eventful. Having met with his tutor, Professor Fig, he was introduced to a member of the Ministry of Magic. During their journey, Asparagus was shown an artifact imbued with ancient magic that only he could perceive.
I can do that.
And allowed him to access said artifact. Would anyone like to hazard a guess as to what was inside?
Guinea wig?
Goblin piss.
A piece of meat?
No, inside was a portkey that would take Spears and Fig to a place that led to another place. All this shortly after their carriage was attacked by a dragon. Anyway, long story short, some shit went down and they found another artifact in a vault at Gringotts, and the leader of the then rumoured Goblin Rebellion wanted it for himself. Spears and Fig did a runner and arrived at Hogwarts, where Spears attended the sorting ceremony. The Hat, sensing his curious and ambitious nature, saw it fit to place him in
Slytherin.
Obviously.
The next day, Professor Weasley furnished Spears with a field guide to help him further get up to speed on all things magical. There was, however, one page in that book that she was not aware of. A list of seemingly obscure and arbitrary tasks, and at the bottom of the page a strange mark. Asparagus also found inserted into the spine of the book an unusual quill. Anyway, Spears attended his first classes and was sent off to Hogsmeade on some errands for Professor Weasley. After picking up a stylish new wand, he was unfortunate enough to become embroiled in a battle with a troll, which he was able to overcome.
Excuse me, gentlemen. May interest you to know this conversation is no longer private. So sorry, dozed off. What have I missed?
The troll was sighted in Hogsmeade.
Ladies and gentlemen, what an extraordinary moment this is.
Professor Fig, meanwhile, had been researching the locket. A secret map would lead Asparagus to the restricted section in the library. It was whilst on this quest that Asparagus was able to invoke ancient magic for the first time.
I can do that.
The first true indicator of his power. Asparagus continued to attend classes and making friends around the school. And it was whilst he was carrying out an errand for one such irritating character that he happened upon something in the school's trophy room. An arrangement of sigils that bore a strong resemblance to the mark on the strange list he had found in the field manual. Intrigued, Asparagus looked at the list again, realizing that the list seemed to correspond to certain things he had already accomplished. He used the quill to cross them off the list, and to his amazement, the sigils on the wall began to disappear. From this point on, there would be no stopping the young Asparagus. The mystery of the sigils would become his #1 priority. Now it appears the book that Asparagus had retrieved from the library had some pages missing. Thankfully, a one-eared elf kind of helped by leading young Spears to a cave in which a ghost was hanging out, who knew the location of the pages. The ghost of Richard Jackdaw agreed to meet Asparagus at the Forbidden Forest and directed him to another cave. And after surviving a goblin ambush, Asparagus entered and located the pages. Of course, some more magic shit went down and Asparagus located the map chamber. He also somehow unlocked the ability to improve his skills on a whim, with no need for study or practice.
I can do that.
Now it was here that Spears got a bit pissed off. You see, the list required a pupil of each house to enter the map chamber. As a Slytherin, he had done so, but in order to complete the requirements, he had to convince 3 other students to make their way through the required quest lines. 8 hours that Asparagus lamented he would never get back. So Asparagus needed to return to the map chamber with the book he found in the restricted section. But before that, he took his first flying lesson and bought himself a funky-ass broom. At the request of a Miss Willetsley of Hogsmeade, Asparagus went and followed some butterflies. God knows why. He then carried out a delivery for Parry Pippin and met Fatima Luang.
Let me introduce me. Gilderoy Lockhart. What have I missed?
Fatima Luang. So Asparagus snuck into the Undercroft and did some rolling and became the best dressed student at Hogwarts. He missed 3 days of lessons chasing flying pages and exploring. Luckily, he found the room of requirement to catch up with his studies, and wasted more time decorating. Anyway, back to the list. Asparagus managed to get a 100-hit combo by cheesing a troll.
I can do that.
Professor Fig returned from the Ministry of Magic, and Asparagus told him about finding the missing pages. The 2 of them went to the map chamber and placed the book on a magic thing which revealed the most badass looking map you've ever seen. The old guy in the painting told Asparagus of 4 trials that he must undertake. The first being shown on the map. Given the looming goblin uprising, a sense of urgency now gripped our hero and his friends. So he took another few days off to hunt for collectibles, and there was a shit ton of them. Severus, would you mind keeping track of these?
Indeed.
Thank you. Asparagus continued working on his list. He used a mandrake to stun 10 different enemies. And his proclivity for practicing his spellcasting on livestock eventually paid dividends when he filipendoed his 10th cow. He also managed to complete all tiers of a challenge, which means fuck all to me. And he brewed every type of potion he was able to. It was now time for Asparagus to undertake the first trial. He and Fig took out some goblins that had set up camp outside the tower before Asparagus entered. He solved some puzzles and fought some big-ass statues before viewing more of the painting guy's memories in a pensive. He was then introduced to painting guy number 2, Charles Rookwood. Back at school, Spears attended his first magical beasts class and met an array of creatures. Despite his penchant for flipping livestock, Spears was very much an animal lover, trying to help them where he could. After learning to grow every plant,
I can do that.
he was shown how to catch beasts and care for them.
I can do that.
He would then use the materials they provided to upgrade his gear. Spears would later bump into the school caretaker, Mr. Moon, a friendly chap with a lot of personal problems. Moon would teach Spears how to unlock things in exchange for finding more fucking collectibles. Severus, how many are we up to now?
304.
Spears took on one of many side quests he would encounter and was able to cross another line off his list for using ancient magic on every enemy, the final one being a horrible acromantula.
He did not. Seriously misunderstood creatures spiders are.
No, Hagrid, I can assure you this one was a total cunt. So the young Asparagus started working with a few close friends on various investigations. He began helping a fellow Slytherin, Sebastian Sallow, try to find a cure for his sister. Along the way, Spears would learn the unforgivable curses.
Which of you can tell me how many unforgivable curses there are.
3.
Correct.
He teamed up with the lovely Natty and I to learn more about two shits called Harlow and Rookwood, a descendant of Painting Guide number 2, whom was working with Ranrock, the leader of the goblins. Are you following all this?
For the time being.
We'll find out soon enough.
Not at all.
Whilst undertaking these covert operations, Spears and I would rescue Highwing, and Spears would ride his first magical beast.
That is a hippogriff.
Speaking of which, Hagrid, Buckbeak appears to have shat all over Ravenclaw Tower.
Sorry about that.
If you wouldn't mind cleaning it up.
Do you think it wise to trust Hagrid with something as important as this?
I would trust Hagrid with my life. A little hippogriff feces is nothing to worry about. So Spears and Unai's undercover work would continue, and Asparagus was able to use Petrificus Totalis on his 50th enemy. Asparagus would then meet with Professor Fig in the map chamber and learn the location of the next trial. The two would learn of the fragile alliance between Ranrock and Rookwood, and their plans to deal with Spears himself. Spears finished the trial and met with a new painting person, Neve Fitzgerald. As winter came, and knowing he had a target on his back, Spears thought it a sensible use of time to help a student by the name of Saccharissa Tugwood to find some boober tubers. In the calm isolation of the Room of Requirement, he also began his first forays into beast breeding. And his care for animals continued as he and Poppy Sweeting took on the poachers that were all over the place. The two would rescue a dragon and later return its egg. Back in school, Spears attended transformation class and finally learned all his spells. He also got a glowing school report. To celebrate, Spears upgraded a piece of his gear 3 times, then went on a mad bender and ended up buying a shop. Whilst tripping balls, he ended up in a mindfuck maze before getting into a fight with the previous shop owner, who then got arrested. All very bizarre stuff. Whilst on the come down, he took on waves of enemies in the challenge arena and prevailed, another line off the list. Spears would become very much the traveller. He would explore the region extensively, and eventually he reached Boydseer Coast. It was in this area that he discovered the last of the Flue Flames, the fast travel sites that he'd become so adept at using. In fact, Spears' adeptness with flue travel often meant he would materialize faster than reality.
I can do that.
Though more conventional methods of escalation often caused him problems. Things such as stairs and ladders.
I can do that.
Now, before I proceed, I'd like to ask you all a question. Before Asparagus Spears, who was the greatest wizard?
Albus Dumbledore.
Hey, I'm not that old, you fat fuck! Severus?
No idea.
Allow me, Professor Snape.
Yes, Gilderoy?
Merlin.
Yes! Well done, Gilderoy.
Lockhart, your moment has come at last.
If you don't mind me saying, it was pretty obvious.
Do you take pride in being an insufferable know-it-all?
No more questions. Don't ask any more questions.
Yes, the great Merlin had placed 95 trials throughout the land to test other wizards. After being shown how to unlock these low-effort shovelware puzzles, Spears would proceed to conquer every single one. How many are we up to now, Severus?
93.
And now?
94.
And 95. Spears then completed a set of collectibles by finding all those silly statues for Mr. Moon. before speaking with the painting lady about the third trial location, which turned out to be in my fucking office. It's not there now, I've checked. But Spears needed to get the password to tell the magic statue in order to access the office. So Fig gave him some polyjuice potion.
I believe you're familiar with this particular brew.
It tastes like dark wizard's piss.
Oh, thank you for that assessment. Alistair?
So Fig gave him some polyjuice potion to disguise him as Professor Plat, the headmaster, and tricked the worried elf into giving it to him. So Spears played an absolute blinder and entered the third trial.
What was it like?
He was in a picture book, hiding from death, wielding the deathly hallows. All very cool stuff. Used my wand and all. Anywho, he got the job done and met the final painting guy, San Bakar. Then he would pop off to rescue a phoenix.
Isn't he beautiful?
Yes, it's all very touching. Let's go!
And reach the highest point in Hogwarts Castle, just to get a couple more lines off the list. Asparagus then turned his attention to his friends. He and Poppy met with some centaurs to try and learn the location of some snidgets, these little golden birds they used to use in Quidditch. And the weakest voice actor Spears had so far encountered advised them to find a moonstone and place it at a henge to reveal the snitch's location. Spears and Sweeting found the fifth cairn dungeon, whatever that means, as well as the moonstone, and took it to the henge. Some moon calves came out and did a dance, and it was all just too cute.
Well, out for a little walk in the moonlight, are we?
Oh, bless him, look, he knows his mummy.
Meanwhile, Spears had been working with a goblin called Lodgok, investigating the goblin's mining activities. Asparagus went to meet Lodgok, but instead encountered Ranrock and Rookwood. Spears destroyed one of Ranrock's drills before Lodgok turned up. Lodgok had a book for Spears which revealed the location of the final repository. Ranrock took the book and killed Lodgok, who turns out was his brother. Ranrock and Rookwood then turned on each other. It was all very exciting. Everybody still following?
Hello. Who am I? Gilderoy Lockhart. What have I missed?
Lockhart. Pay attention.
Okay, quick explainer for Gilderoy. The four people in the paintings are the keepers. A long time ago, they worked with a lady called Isadora Morganach, who was able to use ancient magic like our Asparagus. Yes, Alistair, we know. Isadora found a way to remove people's pain using magic. Not quite. The keepers were very concerned by this magic. The pain she removed was bad shit, and she found a way to store it using goblin metal. All this bad shit ended up in hidden repositories. Isadora became drunk on power, and the keepers had to kill her. Yes. Then vowed to, keep the locations of the repositories secret and watch over them until a new keeper made themselves known by completing the trials. Our young Asparagus. Professor Fig's late wife Miriam had been researching ancient magic and become friends with the now deceased Lodgok. It was while searching Rookwood Castle that Lodgok got some other goblins involved and they discovered the first repository. Unfortunately, Ranrock was one of them, and he wanted the power for himself. He would kill Miriam and proceed to learn the locations of the remaining repositories. Before she died, however, Miriam sent the port key container to George Osric at the Ministry of Magic. The key that started Asparagus Spears on his path.
Tut, tut. Hardly any of you remember that my favourite colour is lilac.
Yes. So, back to Spears. Saddened by Lodgok's death, Asparagus went and had a broomstick race. grief does strange things. He beat all 3 of Imelda Reyes' times and crossed another line from the list. He then completed all the side quests by beating a teacher at his own game. The teacher sucked at the game. Spears' friend Sebastian was starting to lose his shit as he searched for a cure for his sister Anne. Sebastian was invoking dark magic to control Inferi. Anne went and told their uncle, who showed up to stop him. They had a big fight, and Sebastian killed him.
Earn you a one-way ticket to Azkaban.
Should have been the case, yes. Anne was not happy, but couldn't bring herself to grass Sebastian up. Asparagus left and met with the keepers to learn the location of the Saint Becar's trial. He engaged in an epic battle with a Graphorn and was able to subdue it. The Graphorn helped Spears to enter another magic place, and he viewed his final pensive memory. After completing Saint Becar's trial, Spears learned the location of the final repository, right below Hogwarts Castle. He was advised to take the pensive artifacts he had collected and have them made into a special wand that would give him access. Of course, Spears had more important things to do. He went off and got 2 Graphorns to fight and finished mating all magic beasts. He went and met with Poppy, and the 2 spoke with Doran the Centaur. Using a drawing of the pattern made by the Mooncalfs, Doran worked out the location of the Snidgets, and the beasts were found. With Ranrock closing in on the final repository, Spears went to Ollivander's and got the special wand made. But as he was leaving, he was confronted by Rookwood. Rookwood kidnapped him, and the pair did battle. Spears took the bastard down and returned to the map chamber, and entered the final repository that was hidden under the map. Goblins arrived, so Spears and Fig had to battle their way to the entrance, where Asparagus used the new magic wand to open the seal. Ranrock turned up, and drawing on the repository's power, took on a new form.
What was it like?
The form of a dragon. Of course, he was no match for the greatest wizard that ever lived, and Spears completely destroyed him. It was pretty epic. Sadly, Professor Fig was gravely wounded.
And then he died.
Yes, Asparagus was devastated.
Yes, it's all very touching. Let's go!
The school held a memorial service for Fig, and everyone carried on. Spears went and spoke to Poppy Sweeting, and concluded her quest line. And then went and spoke to Sebastian to conclude his. He went and had a chat with Natty, as they had some unfinished business with Harlow. The 2 of them went after him and got into a fight. Harlow was beaten and arrested, but not before using an unforgivable curse on Natty. Natty recovered, and Spears concluded the last of his friend's quest lines. Professor Weasley asked Spears to let her review the progress he had made completing his field guide. Thankfully, she didn't find the pages containing Spears' list. Impressed with his achievements, she advised he finished finding the necessary collectibles. Severus, how many are we up to now?
No idea.
But I thought you were keeping count.
Headmaster, have you ever considered that you ask too much? Has it ever crossed your brilliant mind that I don't want to do this anymore?
Have it your way. There's only a few left. Spears needed to defeat 5 more infamous foes, so he went hunting. Whilst taking out the baddies, he reached level 40, making him the most powerful wizard ever.
I say different!
No, I assure you, Alistair, I'm only level 38 and I'm better than you. Spears' power was already so renowned that he often went about his business unopposed. People were happy for him to break into their houses and help himself to their property.
Oh, yeah, your father would know all about that.
And his enemies didn't even try to fight back.
I can do that. I'm here across classrooms!
Spears had a few more collectibles to grab, and he eventually finished up his collection, though apparently not all of them, as he was led to believe was necessary. Satisfied with his achievements, he spent the last of his talent points and increased his abilities some more. It was now the end of the year. The students gathered in the Great Hall, and Professor Weasley announced the winners of the House Cup. Noting Asparagus' contribution to saving the fucking world, it was awarded to Slytherin. Asparagus celebrated with his friends, and after sitting through a 30-minute credits roll, he snuck off to finish his final quest. He returned to the trophy room and crossed the lines off his list. The final sigil disappeared, and there in the wall appeared the most beautiful sight. A trophy of such immeasurable beauty. Spears could feel the power radiating from it. At that moment, he realized what must be done. He entered the headmaster's office and found the Book of Admittance. Using his magic quill, he crossed his name from the book, so that no evidence of his time at Hogwarts would ever be recorded. His name would only exist in the stories people told. He returned to the mysterious trophy, recognizing it as a portkey. He reached out and touched it. And that was the last that was seen of him. At least, in this space and time.
And they say I'm mad!
What? You don't believe me?
Do you really think it's true, Albus?
Of course it's true.
Headmaster, I too find it difficult to believe.
Oh, for goodness sake. Do any of you believe me? Hagrid?
I have to admit, that tale is codswallop.
Why, you ungrateful oaf.
Dry up, Dumbledore, you great...
Dozy dirty muggle.
Shouldn't have said that.
Gilderoy?
What have I missed?
Oh, honestly, I've spent the last half an hour sharing the most important story in the wizarding world, and this is the response I get. I have to say, I'm most upset. I'm going away now. Severus, please see me in my office.
Very easily offended.
You wished to see me, Headmaster?
Tell me the truth, Severus. You've heard the story before, haven't you? How long have you known about Asparagus Spears? Really?